Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome here to the launch pad and our live launch coverage of the return to flight for SpaceX Falcon 9. We are at L minus 5 minutes, 25 seconds, and counting till launch. We've been monitoring the weather conditions for the last couple of hours. SpaceX has begun fueling Falcon 9 and are in those final minutes of today's count. If it's your first time here, though, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the founder and host here at the Launchpad. Here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow because we believe that space is better together, and there you are looking at a live view of Launch Complex 39A at NASA Kennedy Space Center in Florida, where Falcon 9 is fueled up, ready to go for its return to flight just 2 weeks since the second stage had a unfortunate failure, which caused it to have a little bit of a delay in its flight schedule, but they are back out at the pad. We're going to work on syncing our T0 with theirs. Strongback retract is now underway as they prepare final preparations. Tonight's Falcon 9 booster is Booster 1069, going for its 17th flight after previously supporting CRS-24, Eutelsat Hotbird 13F, OneWeb 1, SES-18, SES-19, and 12 previous Starlinks. I've been able to see this booster fly in person, very close up and personal from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, and it's great to see this booster back out at the pad, L-4 minutes in counting. If you haven't yet, take a moment, share out the stream, invite people to join us as we get here for the return to flight, where you, of course, are going to listen in to SpaceX Mission Control for the final bit of the countdown. We do know there are 23 Starlink satellites on board. They are all the regular Starlink, no direct-to-cell, heading up to low Earth orbit. They had backup opportunities all the way to 4:21 a.m., but we are locked into a launch attempt tonight. And this is the first of 3 launches in just 48 hours. That's right, 24 hours from now, we invite you back here for a launch from Cape Canaveral, just a few miles down the beach, and then just a few hours later, a launch from Vandenberg. When SpaceX says they're coming back, they come back full throttle. L-3 minutes, 20 seconds, and counting. SpaceX Mission Control Net's now patched in, so we'll hear any of the call-outs as we go through the final minutes of the count. I'll be taking you through all the stages of today's flight while we continue through it, coming down to that 3-minute mark. If you haven't yet, take a moment, let us know in the chat where you're watching from, and as we go through those final minutes of the flight, let's see that go, no go in the chat. If you're a TLP member, don't forget to use those custom TLP launch emotes. If you aren't a member, consider hitting that join button. Just 99 cents a month gets you access to those. Also gets you access to some of our behind-the-scenes coverage, which I'll admit we need to do some more of, but we got some big plans coming up over the next month. We've got some big surprises and announcements coming up, and members, you guys are going to get a lot more members-only shorts and raw updates as we go through the next 45, 50 days for TLP are going to be a new chapter for TLP, let's just say that, and we're excited to share more in the very near future. L-2 minutes, 15 seconds and counting till launch. Falcon 9 is fueled up, ready to go. Next major call-out will be at that T-1 minute mark. That's when Falcon 9 will take over the count and pressurize its tanks to flight levels. As always, if you have questions, you can send them in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad, and I'll work on answering those live during the coast phase of the first stage. Now, SpaceX no longer provides live coverage of deployment, but deployment set 1 hour, 3 minutes, 34 seconds into flight after a second burn. There is that final purge of the Strongback in preparation. Coming down now, T-1 minute, 32 seconds, and counting till launch.
Ground gas closeouts.
If you haven't yet, let's see that go, no go in the chat. Terry, thanks so much for being a member for 4 months. We appreciate your support. T-minus 70 seconds. Final pressurization about to begin. Listen for the call out.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
And there's that call out. Falcon 9 taking over the count. T-minus 55 seconds. Waiting for the call out from the launch director to give a final go for launch. Weather still green across the board for lightning and winds.
LD, go for launch.
And we have a go for launch. 14 days after the second stage had an anomaly during its second stage flight. SpaceX back at the pad, beginning the first of 3 flights in 48 hours, showing they are ready to return to flight. T-minus 30 seconds and counting. 23 Starlinks on board, ready to head to low Earth orbit. T-minus 20 seconds. I'm going to be quiet. Let's listen into the sights and sound from historic Launch Complex 39A at NASA Kennedy Space Center. T-minus 13, 12, 11, 10.
T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Mission
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
And Falcon 9 has launched, and SpaceX is back in the sky. T plus 25 seconds. Next major milestone will be max Q. That's the moment of maximum peak mechanical stress on the vehicle. That's set to occur 1 minute 10 seconds into flight. But let's listen to that Falcon 9 rumble.
Power and telemetry are nominal.
Falcon 9 is supersonic. Max Q.
And that beautiful Falcon 9 rumble waking up the Space Coast for the first time in 2 weeks. The next milestone will be the beginning of a sequence of events, kicking off with MECO, or first stage main engine cutoff, starting 2 minutes 26 seconds into flight. Immediately followed by first and second stage separation, MVAC engine start, grid fin deploy, and then fairing deployment about 25 seconds later. You heard there, MVAC engine chill has begun in preparation for that MVAC engine start. This is all part of that second stage, that ultimately had the failure 14 days ago. SpaceX has removed a part that is not required for flight. It was a sensor line, and they were able to modify it and remove it, test it, and are ready for flight on a number of vehicles for the near future, and then they'll modify it for future. The FAA has approved that. Let's listen in for the callouts of MECO and the beginning of that sequence.
main engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
Back ignition.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there we have it. MECO, first and second stage separation, MVAC engine start, grid fin deploy, and fairing separation. 23 Starlink V2 minis now exposed to the vacuum of space for the very first time. That second stage is burning nice and bright, and there's no bright white frost and ice buildup to be seen yet as it begins its journey here to low Earth orbit. The first stage, Booster 1069, has completed its first ascent under power. It is now coasting up to its apogee. That's the highest point in its flight, currently coming up to 110 kilometers in altitude. We normally see this peak out 116 to 118 kilometers, so keep a close eye on the bottom left corner of your screen. When the speed starts going up and the altitude down, we know we have confirmed apogee and the beginning of the return to Earth for the Falcon 9 first stage. An important note on that mission that had the failure 2 weeks ago, the first stage was a total success. It had no failure points to it, and that is likely why we've seen such a quick return to flight, as the first stage was completely successful and didn't cause any risk to the public from not being able to reach orbit. We're going to be answering your guys' comments and questions in from the chat, so you can send those in by tagging us at the launch pad. The next major milestone will be when we have entry burn startup. That's going to occur 6 minutes, 5 seconds into flight. That's when the Falcon 9 first stage lights up a few of its Merlin engines as it reaches the Earth's atmosphere to help slow it down and protect it from that plasma and supersonic heating, and slows it down to be able to conduct a landing burn a few minutes later in preparation for landing. SpaceX's autonomous drone ship, just read the instructions, is currently stationed downrange, ready to recover today's flight, and we'll be continuing to monitor that. 5 minutes, 10 seconds into flight, we had apogee at 115 kilometers today. First stage now beginning its journey back down. The second stage continuing to burn beautifully with no ice, beginning its journey here. The second stage will continue to burn until SECA 1 right at the end of the broadcast, 8 minutes, 39 seconds into flight. SpaceX won't be providing live coverage of deployment, but that will occur 1 hour, 3 minutes, 34 seconds into flight. After a second burn of the engine, 54 minutes, 40 seconds into flight, tonight's second burn lasting 2 seconds to finalize its orbit. Great question in the chat, Fox McLeod. Will we have a launch date for Polaris Dawn soon? Yes, Polaris Dawn, Crew 9, number of other missions. We are expecting to get launch updates for their schedule here in the near future. I know they've started to come out. They are working still to finalize some of those. So keep an eye out. tlpnetwork.com/launches. That's where you can stay up to date with the latest launch schedule. We do have a cargo resupply scheduled pending for August 3rd, and we are looking at Crew 9 still being in August. Believe they're targeting the 18th currently, but we'll continue to monitor that and see if we get that lockdown. I just checked. That was confirmed earlier today. So NASA targeting Crew 9 launching on the 18th of August. Polaris Dawn likely to slip until after that. SpaceX's first stage, while I was talking there, completed its entry burn, and it's now heading down to the drone ship. Great question. Thanks for sending that in. Gahimo Martian, do you think SpaceX will reuse Super Heavy if they catch it on IFT-5, or will they scrap it? I doubt they'll reuse it, but I bet if it survives, they will do testing with it. I wouldn't be surprised if we see testing. I don't think we'll see it fly right away. I'd love to see them keep it. I think it should have been a museum piece, just like SN-15, but that's what we think. If you haven't yet, join us over on the TLP Discord. That's where our community hangs out in between streams. We'd love to see you there. We're waiting for the landing burn of the first stage. That's set to begin about 20 seconds from now. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe so you never miss another live launch coverage. This was the first of 3 SpaceX Falcon 9s in just 48 hours. We are awaiting that landing burn startup, roughly about 10 seconds away from that.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
Stage 1 landing leg deployed.
Nice. Booster 1069 back down on Earth, having successfully landed on the drone ship. Just read the instructions. Second stage, just doing the final seconds of its first burn, but with no ice buildup there, it looks like it is going to be a perfect clean flight, and we'll continue to follow updates from SpaceX on social media. That's going to do it for us here today from our TLP Canada studio. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe so you never miss another live launch coverage. Head over to tlpnetwork.com/launches to stay up to date on your launch calendar, and /news to stay up to date on the latest news. Also, make sure to join us over on the TLP Discord. That's where our community hangs out in between streams, and we would love to see you in there. We are counting down now just about 22 hours till the next Falcon 9. We hope to see you then, but for now, my name's Zach, and we'll see you next time, because space is better together. Good night, and go SpaceX.